So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you some advice and tips on how to start your own card game and how to sort of like do the rule sets and how you should build your card game up and sort of like some ideas of how you should do the artwork and stuff like that. So if you are interested, stay tuned to today's video. Leave a like if you want to support me in the channel, and let's get straight into it. So this is some of the cards that I've made from my own card game, Eternal Light here for example. This is Dino Force. So Dino Force is an archetype within that. We'll get more into that in a minute, but here we have just Oviraptor, Chaos Carno, Impact Trike, and Behemoth Bronto. These are just some of the basic sort of lower tier cards. So when you kind of want to start your own card game, you kind of want to have a lot of weaker monsters, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to have like a lot of powerful ones, like me too, because I kind of like, you know, want to have a few powerful ones as well with like 300 damage points and stuff. But to kind of keep the rules balanced and to make the game fair and stuff, you always want every single archetype to have a lot of weaker monsters, because if you're going for a lot of powerful ones, then it can make stuff unbalanced, and that's kind of where stuff doesn't work. But to show you the Dino Force cards, for example, these are just sort of like the weaker ones, because you can see that this one's got a higher defense, but that's because it's a higher level and it's still kind of like a basic warrior. And these ones are just sort of like weaker, but they are sort of the basic ones, and the whole point of having weaker ones is so that when you get them all together you can sort of bring out some powerful ones. And an example of this, as I'll show you now, is if you've ever played the game Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll know that the Elemental Heroes, which is one of my favourite archetypes, there's a lot of weaker ones like these two for example, which have really low attack and defense points. And when you get them together, obviously depending on how you want to bring out your own like better monsters, because obviously in Yu-Gi-Oh! They use the fusion summon. This is Flame Wingman, which is a better version of both of these combined, and that's kind of like how it works in a way. You want to just, you know, like build it up and stuff. So when you are designing an archetype, you kind of want to have at least 5 or 6 weaker monsters, like kind of like these two here, but obviously keeping to your own designs. And sometimes even when you have more powerful monsters like this one, you kind of just want to go the extra mile and have even stronger ones. For say if you do build a sort of like Nemesis deck or something and you want to have some strong ones in that. But yeah, there's an example. Some other things you can sort of do in your own game is have some quick, this is kind of like some ideas for some quick use abilities, potions, whatever you want to call them. These are just like straight up like quick use, you know. This one's just for gaining life points, this one's for destroying all the warriors in both fields. And this is just some ideas for what you could do for your own like abilities and stuff, because every card game needs some form of like spell or ability or something, whatever you want to call it, potion. And these are just some of the ones that I did. Now another thing that I have sort of shown a little bit before on the channel is when you're making warriors as well, there's different ways you can do warriors, and these are two that I did here. And you may notice that there's literally like no damage and defense points. You can still have damage and defense points on these, but these ones are like literally like they can't do any damage at all, they're just weak. But the thing with these ones is these ones are more focused on their ability instead of the damage and defense. And the reason for this makes them unique in a way, because you can use them in all different ways. Like this one here, Flesh Eater Virus, this is one that when it's summoned it goes straight into your opponent's deck, and if your opponent ever gets it out then they lose their entire hand, which is pretty cool. And this one is if it's the only card in your hand you can summon any warrior from your deck. But these are really unique cards, and these are kind of like last resort in a way, because say if you really want to like back yourself up in a duel or something, these ones can really help, because they're just sort of, you know, like giving you a boost from not having any damage and defense points. But yeah, that's kind of like the idea from having weaker warriors as well, is you just don't, you get more out of them from the ability than the damage and defense, so it's not completely useless. And yeah, that's kind of like how the 0-0 thing works. Another thing as well is with the sort of like upgrading your warriors is, here's two that I've made from a set called the Goofy, where the eyes literally like look kind of the same and stuff, like they have this weird like eyeball thing. But these are two wind type Goofy warriors that I did, and how I did sort of like upgraded them was there was a ability card focused on them called Whirling Combination, but you have to have 2 wind type Goofies, and yeah, when this was used, you brought out Goofy Griffin, which is still one of my favourites, by the way. I do like this. I could probably draw that better now, but I do like Goofy Griffin. It's one of my favourite warriors. And just sort of like, you know, like building stuff up so you can bring out better stuff is kind of like the idea around most card games and how I kind of based mine. But that's kind of like the whole point, because if you could bring out a strong warrior like this straight away, then your game would kind of be overpowered for using whatever deck that is. And it's important to sort of focus on the build-up rather than just bringing stuff out straight away. But going on about powerful warriors, something that I will show off is it was showing off like the Yu-Gi-Ohs again, is sometimes you can have powerful warriors that you don't need to like sacrifice anything for, or like go all out and try and find the right cards to get out. And the thing with most of these, like these three for example, which are all from Yu-Gi-Oh and some of the most iconic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, is none of them have abilities or anything or effects, and this is mainly because of the fact that they're like stronger or they're easy to pull out and stuff. But yeah, these are some of the most like I'd say vanilla or basic and stuff, but they don't have abilities mainly because they're kind of easy to get out or to use and stuff, and that's kind of that. And another thing I want to touch up on for when you're building an archetype as well, it's really important to have like abilities, spells, potions, whatever that are focused on that deck, so you can give them a bit of support and stuff without being too overpowered. Like this one's called Ancient Power, and this is from a Mobified set that I did. And we've got location cards as well, like you can have all sorts of cool sort of like support things. This is sort of like to boost all of them overall and give you a bit of support there. And yeah, it's just kind of cool to have this sort of like what's it called, like boost to your deck and stuff, so you can just sort of get things done faster. And that's kind of that. And next we're going to go into sort of like other things as well with the cards as well. As you can see with the card itself, it's kind of more of a, like you want to sort of keep your designs sort of, it depends how you want to design your card, because I'll say I'm not saying you have to design it in any specific way, but when you're doing the artwork should be the #1 priority on your card. You don't want your artwork to sort of go across the entire card unless you are going for a specific design, I'd say. But it's always important to keep a text box for your, obviously your text, your abilities and stuff, and to use some brighter colors, because if you're using a darker color like with this one here, I'd probably change the color on this one. It's kind of harder to read, and if you're keeping it a lighter color like anything else for example, it just makes it easier to read. And with the ability cards that I did as well, here's a little sort of like tip, say if you want to go for specific colors and stuff, when you're using this sort of like shade of pink, or is it, I don't know what this, like violet or something, it makes it a lot easier to read for people who say have like visual difficulties or anything, so it's a lot easier for them to read. So using colors that are sort of like from different tones and stuff can make the cards easier to understand stuff. Obviously when you're doing stats on them, make sure they're big, simple, easy to read, and you've got your, this is the logo for what type it is as well. I'd probably would lighten it up, but this is just how it came out when it was done. Make sure you have all your important information on there as well, like I've got the rarity there in a little box, the level, earth. Make sure you don't miss any of that out, because I have done that in the past. And with the mutations as well, they've got a little mutation box to sort of show you that it is a mutation card. And you can tell straight away by these little lines here, so that's kind of how you understand that as well. And for the card backs, just anything simple, you know, like these ones have the little black borders which weren't supposed to be there on these ones, but that's how they turned out. And that's kind of like the whole point. The artwork as well, go all out on the artwork. I'd say do that, you know, make sure you have a cool design for the card itself, and the artwork should only realistically take up 50% of the card itself, I'd say. So that's a Recon Overraptor just there for example, to give you a few ideas of what cards you do as well. I'm going to talk about that and what you should do with that, because I've been asked this many times before. But if you can't come up with ideas for what cards you want to do, there's a lot of sort of things where you can get ideas for the cards you want to do and stuff like that. And something I have told people in the past is you can literally just look at anything in like an everyday object, and it could literally become like a monster or anything like that. Like these ones are all inspired by dinosaurs, which are in some of my favorite video games and movies and stuff, which is kind of why I did it in a way. And we got other stuff, sort of like a griffin, you know, a griffin's a griffin. It's just my variation on it and stuff like that, like a slug. That's one of my favourite cards as well. But any everyday items, like I've said many times in the past, I think, you can literally just use everyday items to create cards for your game. So you don't have to go all out and try and think of something. I wouldn't say it's not original, I'd just say it's kind of like thinking of the idea for what kind of warrior you want to create. But yeah, this is just sort of, it can be anything, literally. Like this is a slug, this is the sunlight slug, because it's a slug that likes sunlight, and it looks pretty cool there. He's got the little like saliva marks there because it's a hot day and he hasn't really got anywhere to go. He just enjoys being out in the sun. But yeah, literally anything can become a warrior or a card or anything for your card game. And when you're doing sets, it's cool to sort of link them up in a way, whether it be by using something within a set, like they all have similar like clothing or items and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of like a few ideas for how you should do your card game, I'd say. And thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you've enjoyed. I'm sorry there's cards everywhere, and thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a nice time and goodbye.